What's up, you guys?
What's up, you guys? So I'm here with a new video today. I'm here to bring you guys my top 5 best side deck cards for this November 2018 format. You guys already know YCS London has taken place, YCS Niagara has taken place, regionals have taken place, and we are on our way to YCS Pasadena here in just a couple weeks in California. These are just some of the cards that I personally feel are probably some of the best side deck options at the time. We're already establishing that the top 5 decks are going to be Danger Dark World FTK, Gokis, Pure Sky Strikers, Thunder Dragons, and Altergeist. I'm only naming those 5. Those are the ones that I see have the most attendance. Of course, there are plenty of other rogue decks like True Draco, Cyber Dragons, Mech Knight Invoked, etc., that you will see popping up here and there. But I feel that in a large-scale event like a YCS, especially one in California, I feel that those are the decks we're going to see heavily represented at our events. And these are just 5 cards that I feel are probably the most versatile side deck cards you can use. You don't understand how hard this was to get it down to just 5 cards, and I wasn't able to get it down to just 5 cards. Spoiler alert. I'm going to include a lot of extra cards after I name my top 5 just to give you guys more options, because I feel like 5, even though people like a simple 5 cards because you can play 3 of each to make up your 15 card side deck, a lot of times I feel that there's just so many other cards. But I feel that some of these cards fall into the category of you can play either or. So without further ado, I'm going to get into them, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you enjoy the videos like this, be sure to smash that like button. 50 plus likes lets me know that you enjoy it. But anyways, let's get right into it. So the first card that I feel is really important in the side deck this upcoming format, and especially because of how highly represented this deck is, and I feel it's one of the best answers, is Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. Now, this card, main application used to be against Goki. You would cherries the Firewall, cherries the Isolde, and that would put you in a better position than if you didn't cherries them. Now with the Danger Dark World FTK, the thing is, hand traps really suck against that deck. There's only 2 hand traps that do any work, and it's Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries and Joel and Lockbird, which, spoiler alert, is one of the other cards I'm talking about. So you could side either or, but for the time being, we're going to talk about cherries. So cherries is extremely important because hitting the Firewall is so crucial against that deck. Yes, they do have the ability to play a bunch of dangers, and yes, they can do a lot of things, but I feel reapering the Firewall is huge. The ability to shut them off of that FTK, it makes it to where them going first, they won't have the FTK. This is a card that you can side deck. Some people might go as far to main it. I don't think it's main deck worthy though, because yes, it has applications against Sky Strikers. Yes, it has applications against Gokis, but it really is not that great against Altergeist, and it's not good against Thunder Dragons because they can just bring the fusions back to their extra deck when they play Thunder Dragon Fusion. But I feel that this is definitely a side deck worthy card again because of how insane it is to play against the Danger Dark World FTK. You want an out to that deck, and this is it. You cherries the Firewall. It at least makes it to where you're not getting FTK, but you do have to play around the fact that with all the monster advantage they get on the field through their dangers, that you have to prepare for, just a large board to be created. But I feel that when you get rid of Firewall, it's huge. Now here in North America, we do have Summon Sorceress. People would say, why don't you cherries that? I feel the Firewall is more crucial because you need to be able to stop the FTK from going on with Grapha and the Dark World, and with Firewall with Cannon Soldier. So cherries is definitely a great card. Again, you can play Joel and Lockbird as well. When I get into the other cards, we'll talk about that. So cherries is there. Another card that I really like, and I mention it pretty much every side deck video, it's personally one of my favorites, is Mind Control. Mind Control has applications against pretty much every deck. Now, I know it's not that good against the FTK, so we're not going to count it on the FTK. But if you look at the other 4 decks I mentioned, Gokis, well, you don't really need it against Goki, but if you look at Sky Striker, Thunder Dragons, and Altergeist, this card has application against all of them. We saw Ping Zhao even main deck this card because Trickstar is supposed to have a terrible Thunder Dragon matchup. Like, honestly, if you're playing Thunder Dragon, it should be a free matchup, but he played Widow Anchors, he played Mind Controls in the main deck, and this card is huge, not only against Striker, because you can just take their Link monster and link away with it or use it yourself, but you can just take away Thunder Dragon, Colossus, or Titan, get them off the board, and then play your game, link them away, play your board. Altergeist, now I know it's not as good against Altergeist, but this does let you get a problematic monster off the field if need be. It's a way to get, like a Multi-Faker off the field or a Sulcoitus off the field or something off the field. That way they're at less advantage with monsters. I don't think it has a great application against Altergeist, but I feel it's so strong against Striker and so strong against Thunder Dragons. And overall, it can have advantage against pretty much every deck. If the Dark World deck, like Fizzles, doesn't FTK you, you can mind control them, link away with their cards. I feel that this will continue to be one of the most versatile side deck cards this format and pretty much every upcoming format because of everything it can do and everything it applies for you. I think Mind Control is a great card. I feel it's a card you should definitely have somewhere in your side deck if you're not main decking it, just because being able to just take your opponent's monster and the fact that you can use more than one is insane. So everyone knows how powerful it was in Mech Knight Invoked. Well, it's a really just solid side deck card overall, this format. Next, we're getting into back row removal. I went with Twin Twister. Now, when we talk about the other cards, there's a million different ways to remove back row. But let's face it, Twin Twister has proven itself as the most versatile, the most flexible, the most just, I guess, like the best way to get rid of back row. And the reason I feel is because it's a quick play. You can chain it on top of things, and I feel that that's what's really important. The fact that you can chain this on top of your opponent activating something is great. It can hit 2 cards. It can get dead cards out of your hand. It can just do so much. I don't really need to talk about Twin Twisters, but you guys know the applications. Great against Striker. Great against Altergeist. Not really good against Goki or Danger Dark World or, Thunder Dragons. But the thing is, with Twin Twister, you are able to hit cards like the Danger Dark World FDK deck. If you are main decking this card, they do sometimes set their beginning of the end or their allure or their soul charge, and you can snipe that. So I mean, it's not a bad card, but you guys already know back row removal is important in this format with Altergeist, Dracos, all the back row decks that still exist. Next, this one is solely for Thunder Dragons. I put it in here because of how much you guys talked about this card, and that card is Book of Eclipse. We guys already saw how Gabe sided this card, and it was against Thunder Dragons. You just Book of Eclipse, you just wipe their board, and you win. It's great. Turns off a lot of problematic cards. Now, the thing that people need to understand is this card is not for every single deck. It depends on what deck you're playing. You need a deck that can run over the Thunder Dragon monsters. Yes, Book of Eclipse is great because it, masks the board, and it just, flips everything face down, but you need to be able to remove those cards because if you aren't able to, they're going to flip back up, your opponent's going to draw cards, and then you're going to be back in the same situation, technically in a worse situation. But I really like Book of Eclipse. I think Book of Eclipse is really versatile. I feel like if you're playing a deck like Goki or playing a deck like Thunder Dragons or anything in the mirror, like you can just run everything over with this card. So this card's great. There's a lot of other options like Forbidden Apocrypha, stuff like that. I didn't include Apocrypha just because I feel that card is solely for Thunder Dragons, whereas I feel Book of Eclipse has some applications against other matches, like you can try it against Goki, other stuff like that. So I wanted something just a little more flexible and a little more optimal, like against other decks. So I really like Book of Eclipse. I think this card has proven so far this format that it's pretty strong, being able to take care of problematic Thunder Dragon boards and other deck boards. And the 5th card, like I said, this was so hard, you guys. Like, you don't even know. Like, you don't know how hard it is to go through all my side deck cards and be like, I can only pick 5. Like, this is nuts. But I had to go with Evenly Matched. You can't deny the power of this card. People say this card sucks. I just don't see how. This card does so much for you going second. Like, you just wipe their board, and it's banished face down. Like, it's not even going in the graveyard. Nothing's triggering. It's so good against just everything. So good against Altergeist, so good against Pure Sky Striker, so good against Goki once you bait their field. It's so good against Thunder Dragons. It's just so good against everything. And it's one of those cards that basically just swings the tempo back in your favor. And I feel that's what you need this format. You need to be able to, if you're playing against FTK, you need to be able to survive. If you're playing against anything else, you need to be able to swing tempo back in your favor to get gain advantage and, get the game back on your side. And I feel that's what Evenly Matched does. And I think this has been a staple side deck card for format after format now, and I feel it's going to continue to be one because we need really good cards like that. So yeah, those were my 5 cards. Now you guys know how hard it is to pick 5 cards, so this isn't all I picked. There's more stuff, of course, because you know how I am. I'm always going to give you guys all the options possible. I would have done a top 10 list, but top 10 lists are kind of like all the same thing, but basically you are getting a top 10 list or more list for, even though the title says top 5. But Joel Lockbird is basically in the same class as Ghost Reaper, and Winter Cherries is one of the only other hand traps that hurts the Danger Dark World FTK, so keep that in mind. If you're not siding Cherries, Droll is really good. You even siding both is really good because it gives you the options to stop them in their tracks or to stop them from making Firewall, which is huge to prevent the FTK. It also has good application against like Trick Stars or Sky Strikers, etc. But I feel its real versatility and effectiveness is against the FTK. Of course, talking about back row removal, You had to include, Heavy Storm Duster, Red Reboot, and I went as far as even to put Pankatrops. I really, really like Pankatrops this format. This card's great, just going second, just deals with so many things, runs over a monster, pops it back row, quick effect, card's broken. These are your other options against Altergeist, against Trickstar, against True Draco, any kind of real back row decks. You guys know how much I love Twin Twisters, but these are your other options. The one thing with Red Reboot, playing the life point sucks, but if you're going to OTK your opponent, this card is the card for you because you can just activate it from your hand. I feel anything that has activating it from your hand, like Evenly Matched, is really, really strong. So Reboot along with Evenly Matched, or Reboot with Twin Twister, or, any combination of these cards, Prankatops, etc. is just really solid. So just added back row removal so you guys have your heavy back row decks covered. Of course, Border, I'm not going to say much. This card's just really good against the FTK, really good against, really good against Altergeist, stuff like that. So this card's pretty cool. So I had to throw it in there. It's one of my favorite side deck cards. And last but not least, I've got, instead of putting Apocrypha, I do have D-Barrier because a lot of you wanted me to talk about D-Barrier. And here's the thing with D-Barrier, you guys. We all thought immediately, oh man, D-Barrier is the way. This card's so good like it was against Pendulums. However, the problem with this is it only buys you one turn. So if your deck is not producing enough advantage to win the game that turn or enough to make it to where your opponent can't play, I feel this card is not that good. I feel that Barrier, while it does stop your opponent for a turn, you can always do more with other cards I've talked about. And I feel as good as Barrier is, you have to have the right deck for it. I do not think it's correct in Sky Strikers. I feel it's not bad in Goki. I feel it's not bad in the Thunder Dragon Mirror. I feel this is where the card shines. It's really good against Thunder Dragons in the Mirror. Basically stops their turn, and then you can produce enough Colossus or Titans to win the game. So in the Mirror match, definitely. This is definitely a great card, but I feel outside of that, and outside of a few matches, this card may not be as good. But that is pretty much it, you guys. I gave you guys a bunch of cards. I think I gave you... Did I give you guys at least 10? I think I gave you guys 10. 7... 8, 9, I gave you guys 11. So I gave you guys 11 in reality, but we're going to focus on the top 5 again. I feel these are the best side deck cards this format. I feel these cards apply to every matchup I mentioned. I feel they cover every matchup. I feel that if you were to include 3 copies of each of these in your side deck, like you'd have a versatile side deck that could play against anything. Now this is garnering that you guys play hand traps in the main. Remember that. If you're not playing hand traps in the main, this would change and we would side hand traps, but most decks are playing hand traps in the main unless you're playing the FTKs. So this is something that I just want you guys to take into account. Remember that. That's a key thing here before you guys slam me and say, Slim, where's the hand traps? Cherries is a hand trap, Joel is a hand trap, but we're talking that your main decking, Ashes, Bells, etc., impermanences, depending on your deck. Like, these are just cards that you can side deck for, the main matchups of the format. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to smash that like button. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this. I'm going to be doing a ban list prediction soon because they said no sooner than November, whatever. Hopefully after Pasadena we get a new format. Hopefully they deal with the problems in the format. So stay tuned for that video. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Just give it a thumbs up and thank you for watching.